Can green tea help you lose weight? Well, the short answer is yes. How much weight could we actually lose with green tea and help you burn more calories? So I saw a ton of people online ask the question, what are the best green teas for weight loss? And that led me to do a little bit of research. Apparently, 7,700 people ask for this question on Google every single month. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to break it down a little bit more for these 7,700 people. I wanted to break down some of the science behind it. I wanted to specifically answer 3 questions. One was, does green tea actually help us lose weight? Number 2, how much weight could we actually lose with green tea if it helps us lose weight? And the final question that I wanted to figure out was, what are the best green teas to actually help you lose weight if all this is true? So stay tuned for all the science and research that we went through and my favorite green tea picks. So let's get right into it. Can green tea help you lose weight? Well, the short answer is yes, but the better question is how much weight can it help you lose? And that really depends on 2 compounds, one that you've probably heard of and one that you haven't. The first being caffeine, and the second is called EGCG, or the long term for it is epigallocatechin gallate. Both of these compounds work together to help you bring your resting metabolic rate up and help you burn more calories. So let's look at a couple different studies talking about caffeine consumption so that we can figure out whether it's the caffeine or the EGCG which is helping improve people's metabolic rate. So the first study had participants taking 100 milligrams of caffeine. Their metabolic rate improved by 3 to 4%. A second study had participants taking 200 milligrams of caffeine, and that had their metabolic rate improving by about 7%. So if we look at an average cup of green tea, it's roughly 30 to 50 milligrams of caffeine in that green tea. So there's a good chance that if we were to just look at the caffeine alone in the green tea, that you could improve your metabolic rate by around 2%. But that being said, we're not talking about the EGCG content, as these were just studies relating to caffeine. Now let's look at a third study breaking down EGCG and caffeine consumption, so we can compare and contrast the effect of having something that has EGCG in it. So for example, something like green tea or green tea pills that have both caffeine and EGCG in them, it turns out that by consuming something like this, you're actually going to increase the amount of fat oxidation more than compared to with when you just had the caffeine alone. In this study, participants had 50 milligrams of caffeine and 90 milligrams of EGCG 3 times per day. And in that scenario, they actually increased their energy expenditure by 4%. Compared with that caffeine scenario that we looked at before, where it was only 2%, it's likely showing that that EGCG consumption actually increases your energy expenditure and fat oxidation as well by that extra 2%. So what does this mean for you? Well, it depends. For the average person who burns about 2,000 calories a day, it works out to about an extra 80 calories. So that 4% increase in energy expenditure works out to about 80. Over the long term, is that going to be super valuable? Well, it depends. If you love drinking green tea anyways, it's going to be perfect. It's really, at the end of the day, just the icing on the cake. There's a lot of other things that are going to make a lot more difference over the longer period of time if you were to actually go build out, for example, your, a better diet or more exercise or better sleep. These things are the, the cake in the old cake and icing experiment here. The green tea would just be the icing. In fact, another one that we talk about with an infographic that we built below in this blog article is about protein consumption as well. That's another one that's kind of an icing on the cake type thing. So take a look down below and see whether that's something that you would want to adjust in your lifestyle. Great. Now that we've broken down some of the science, let's jump into some green teas and see which ones would work best for you. What I've tried to do is I've tried to break them down by caffeine content and by EGCG content, so that we can really start to decide which ones would be best. In addition, I wanted to make sure that they're super clean, so we also have some organic options and some budget options, but everything is going to come from Japan for the most part, and we'll explain why later. Without further ado, here are the top 4 picks. First, we have an Encha matcha. This is going to be our organic pick. Second is going to be ACTA matcha. And then that is our pick that's loaded with caffeine. So if you're comfortable with caffeine, that might be the one that you want to go with. 3, David's Tea, Gyokuro Yamashiro. This one, we can tell that there's a little bit more EGCG in this green tea. And finally, the really, really simple, old school setup, some Kirkland budget green tea. We got a ton of that. So what we're looking for is we really, really want to find some teas that are from Japan. And one of the reasons for that is if you look at there's some old studies and old science on lead content from Chinese green teas. So it's one of the things that we've really tried to prioritize. So first things first, I just want to show you guys and girls what each of these teas looks like. So we'll get a teaspoon here and we'll just kind of put a little bit on the plate just so you can get a good feel for what the look and consistency is of this. Pretty straightforward. That's the ACTA matcha. Next is going to be the enrich, the ceremonial grade matcha. Very similar, different smell though, completely different smell than the ACTA. The ACTA is a bit brighter, a bit like greener. That's that ceremonial grade enrich matcha. That's number 2. And then just to get a quick look at that Gyokuro. Oh, that smells great. So you'd be brewing this stuff 5 minutes probably. And then let's get a final look at the Kirkland Special. Really simple nylon bag. So those 4, and then we're gonna go do a little brew test. Okay, let's get started with the ACTA matcha. Let it brew for a little bit, and while we're doing that, we can talk about the benefits that are listed on our blog post on the website. So one of the reasons why we picked this one was there's a super high amount of caffeine in it. As we discussed earlier, that's going to make a big difference in boosting your energy expenditure. And it can help you burn a little bit more body fat. They even list on their product that it can be up to 170 milligrams of caffeine per serving. So for roughly the serving that I gave you there, that 1 teaspoon serving, it should be 170 milligrams of caffeine. In addition, they've also added, there's more L-theanine in there as well, which is meant to improve focus. It's obviously, it's in powdered form, so it's more flexible for preparation. It is sourced from Japan. And in addition, there's also, let's see, it's packed with a whole bunch of different antioxidants, amino acids, and vitamins. Also, from a pricing standpoint, it's $24.95 for 40 grams, or they also have a monthly subscription at $22.46 per 40 grams, or 440 grams per month. So the bottom line is that this tea should be very, very high quality in terms of the amount of caffeine that it provides, so it should boost your metabolic rate. And then again, if you look further down into our blog article, you will find some more details into how much it can boost your metabolic rate. And that's the general guidelines for this tea. A little bit, I'm gonna take a quick sip and we're gonna see what this tastes like. Let's give it a little stir. See if we can stir it all up. As you can see, there's a little bit of matcha powder that floats to the bottom based on the amount that you have. But let's test it out. Very hot, very, very strong. But I could definitely see that waking me up quite a bit in the morning. One of these has 170 milligrams of caffeine. I think they say that the maximal amount that you should be having throughout the day is around 400. So if you were to have 3 of these, that might even be overdoing it. Really depends on how much your body can handle this. And if it can handle it, then I wouldn't go ahead and have that much caffeine. Perfect, let's look at our number 2 tea. So the second tea that we're looking at is going to be the Gyokuro Yamashiro organic tea. So that's gonna be this one right here. And we're gonna take some of this. I just want you guys to see what that looks like as we go through. I'll go strain this out afterwards, but for the time being, I just want you to get a feel for the look. So we chose this tea based on its EGCG content. In addition, it is also high caffeine, but we wanted to find one tea that had a little bit of evidence saying that there was EGCG in it. and most of them, they should all have EGCG. But again, there was one study that we did find that talked about the amount of EGCG in Goyokuro tea. So that study talked about how there's roughly 250 milligrams of catechins, and then about 1/3 of that is that EGCG antioxidant. So in addition to that, we thought that this is a great tea as there's a whole bunch of other benefits. First of all, it's loose leaf tea, which is quite nice. It's a very traditional type of tea. In addition, it's a pretty short steep time. They're looking for typically a 1 or 2 minute steep time, really quick. And as well as that, they also have a 4.5, no, it's actually a 4.7 out of 5 rating on their website. So there's a lot of people that really find this tea amazing. It's not gonna be just me that's thinking that. And finally, the pricing. If you're looking to get something like this, it's going to be $23.98 for 50 grams of this tea, or they have larger bundles all the way up to $199.90 for 250 grams of the tea. So bottom line is, if you're looking for something that's kind of medium caffeine with some of that EGCG that you know that is going to be there, and it's going to be about the amount that's aligned with what you're seeing in the studies. I think they said, again, it's 1/3 of 250 milligrams. So for that amount, that's pretty close to the amount that we listed in the studies earlier. So we should be seeing some extra pounds being shed by consuming this on a regular basis. Absolutely amazing. So look at how plumped up those green tea leaves are from how they were when they went in. They've definitely absorbed a whole bunch of that water. Let me take a quick test here. Really good. I'm not gonna pretend to be a tea connoisseur here, since I'm more about the weight loss for green tea part, but I can definitely see myself having a whole bunch of sushi with this. So our third choice is gonna be the Encha matcha. Again, this one right here. So we wanted an organic choice just so that we can make sure that whatever you're consuming is going to be the healthiest thing possible. So the main thing is that, again, this is an organic tea. It's actually USDA organic. So if that helps you make a choice, that's definitely something that we wanted to mention. As far as the flavor goes, they list it as a full-bodied, delicate, grassy flavor and not overly bitter. They're hand-picked matcha tea leaves. There's no pesticides or synthetic fertilizers. And there should be roughly 60 milligrams of caffeine and 24 milligrams of theanine. Again, that compound that helps us stay a little bit more focused. As far as the pricing goes, we're looking at $19.90 for 30 grams, or they have a subscription that's $16.32 for 30 grams a month. So bottom line, again, with this one is we're looking for something that's organic and also has all 3 things listed in terms of L-theanine, has some caffeine, and has some EGCG as well, or should have that. So time for a quick taste test. Honestly, it's not wholly different from the other matcha. I would say that it's quite a bit, it's not nearly as strong. The other matcha actually tastes stronger. So if you're worried about the caffeine, you're worried about how strong it tastes, then maybe this is a better option. Perfect, ready for the final round. So the final one that we were looking at again was the Kirkland Signature Original Green Tea. The nice thing about that is it comes in a bag, which is a lot more standard and what more people are used to. So let's get that started, let that steep, and in the meantime, we'll talk about the benefits of this one. One of the main benefits of this Kirkland tea is, well, there's a couple different things. So first off, it's a budget tea, so it's going to be much cheaper for the amount that you get. It's $20.99 for 100 tea bags. So the nice thing about this is if we're talking about trying to lose weight, if we want to lose weight over a long time, we're going to want to have tea quite often. And again, this is, as I said earlier, this is only the icing on the cake. But adding that one extra piece in every single day by having a quick tea bag in the morning should help a little bit. Again, it's just making sure that we're consistent with it. So because it's budget, it's gonna allow us to maintain that for a much longer time instead of spending, hundreds and hundreds of dollars on green tea. So that's one of the main benefits that I thought was gonna be great for this. Second, obviously it also, you can steep in a tea bag. It's not nearly as messy as you can see, like everything here it can get quite messy if you're getting, individually or individual teas that are not already pre-wrapped. This tea is also a sencha and matcha blend, so you can see right off the bat that this started to get green right away, and I think that's most likely because of the matcha that's in this already. It's also a nylon tea bag, which is nice. Different tea bags have different, like, I think they call it water flow basically, so there's basically a better chance that this steeps quicker based on how packed that tea bag is. If it's too packed, it doesn't steep as fast. When it's more open, there's going to be more water flow going through there and then steeping the tea quicker. It has a medium caffeine content and it's also sourced from Japan. Again, all 4 teas have been sourced from Japan so that we can kind of avoid the risk of having anything with lead in it. So all in all, this is a great choice if we're trying to go, if we're on a budget A, or if we are, even if we're not on a budget and we just want to have tea for a long period of time. Final taste test. So for this matcha essentia blend, honestly, this is probably what you're drinking, or it's close to what you're drinking at different sushi and Japanese restaurants. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same, but it definitely has the same flavor, the same qualities as what you're getting at a lot of places. Great tea, really, really nice. Would work just as well as the other ones as well. Just some final words on green tea for weight loss. I just wanted to mention that, again, green tea is just the icing on the cake. It's no more, no less. Everybody wants to have that at the very end, but honestly, it's the cake that's going to do the work. And at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you manage fundamentals like sleep, exercise, and nutrition. So work your way on those and see if you can improve those things first, or in addition to doing something like this, and you'll be there in no time.